All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army Match Week 2. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the Premier League, where we'll talk about the game of the season that we just got done watching between Newcastle and Liverpool. We will also discuss Thomas Frank's huge brain. We'll have a fair amount of United talk, and you'll see why in a moment. Everybody on YouTube, you already know. And who's hitting the panic button the hardest. We'll do a quick halftime, around the world, MLS minute, plus men's national team chatter featuring Gio Reyna and stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauty, starting quickly with Tyler Terrens, who was out last week at the Cincinnati Open. So it got me thinking, give me your top 3 sports to watch live.
Basketball, soccer, not anything related to Alcaraz and Sinner because that was just such a blatant disappointment. And not football, too many stoppages, hockey, playoff hockey.
I was going to say it's definitely not golf because golf is horrendous to watch in person. I was
going to use that. I was going to use that as the segue.
I really don't even watch golf. Like once the tournament starts, it's truly a waste of time to be out there, in my opinion. from like a coverage perspective.
Yes.
Fair point. Now, so the voice you heard right there, if you're not watching us on YouTube, is Dan Rapoport, special returning guest and golf. Knower of everything when it comes to golf. If you're not following him for all his golf coverage, go check him out, Dan Rapoport. But everybody here knows him for his Manchester United fandom. And so I suppose having a question ready on Manchester United would make more sense in this case. But I have a question for you on Tommy Fleetwood. So you just got done with the PGA Championship. I always seem to check in right after your biggest tournaments of the week of the year. So I apologize for that. But it got me thinking with the Fleetwood, finally getting the monkey off his back. I think it was 163 PGA starts, and he had 0 wins coming into the PGA Championship, which he won and, got a cool $10 million for his efforts. But in this type of situation, do all the other pros, are they sort of all rooting for a guy like that to win? Or does it all depend on who that is we're talking about?
Yeah, I have to correct you. It was a Tour Championship, not the PGA Championship.
Oh,
I didn't know when I was going to jump in and say it. I just figured I would just wait until the end. But you did a great job describing the Fleetwood stuff. So I think you get an A- on that little golf presentation there. I think they're rooting for it because Tommy's genuinely a really, really good dude. Salt of the earth from the Liverpool area. He's a massive Everton fan. I think is the only bigger Everton fan on tour is his caddy Ian Finnis, who's like a die-hard Everton fan. Like if he wasn't caddying for Tommy Fleetwood, he would have been there yesterday, going crazy. He exudes good energy. No one has a bad word to say about him. But as we talked about I interviewed him afterward, and he said, I'm 1 for 1 when Everton's been in the new stadium. So it's just a new leaf in the Everton land these days.
Nice. That's a great line. Well played, Tommy Fleetwood. All right, now let's head to the Premier League. Now, before we do that, if you are not in the Sam's Army Patreon, get in it right now. $3.99 a month. You go to patreon.com/Sam's Army. Very easy to find, very easy to pay for. And you get access to our bonus episodes. You get access to our Discord chat, which, by the way, is the best thing about Sam's Army at the moment. You also get the Talking Tactics blogs with Tommy. Mikey just started this Open Mikey. Interesting name. Great name. So it's just sort of everybody gets together on Thursdays and drinks and has a little bit of a chitter chatter. And then Tyler might actually be starting some things with MLS specific. So get in the Discord and get in that by getting on the Patreon. So that's the spiel there. Now, Premier League. Well, I had, a whole sort of intro written and, I had my mind wrapped around where exactly we were going to go this week. And then Monday hit and Newcastle, Liverpool. And not just Newcastle, Liverpool, but just the second 45 minutes. And I guess let's loop in the last sort of 3 minutes of the first half. Some of the craziest soccer you'll ever see. One of the best games you'll ever see. So I'm not even going to ask the usual question at this point. What game do we find most notable, most interesting, what result? We're just going to skip past that and go right to the Newcastle Liverpool game. Now we know we're going to get some unbiased thoughts from Tyler, but let's get some extra unbiased thoughts from our guest. Dan, you were watching. What are your thoughts here on this game?
Yeah, I have a couple different ones. One of the best, regular season. I don't know. It's obviously weird to even say that with the Premier League, but I'm still have this American view. Best regular season game I've seen in any sport in a lot of years, given the context with the Isak situation, given that stadium was on fire. I mean, those fans it felt like they were an extra man. The red card, 2-0 down, Ekitike, the new sign, it was just out of a storybook, the comeback, and then at the end, that's obviously the drama of it all. But I want to hear from Tyler, because what are your emotions? Because you almost were parking the bus against 10-man Newcastle. It was must have been one of the most frustrating games ever to watch. Where are you at emotionally?
I'm exhausted, and that's why I really haven't said much so far, and I'm not chiming in. I'm emotionally drained. No, I mean, you're spot on. I'm watching St. James's Park look like Anfield does on those types of nights, right? Where it's a huge game, you get up for it. There's storylines beyond storylines beyond storylines. It's like an onion of storylines. You just keep peeling it back and keep finding something else to get excited about. And yeah, we're on our heels for almost the entirety of the second half after the Ekitike goal, and we're up a man. And I don't think the starting 11 was the right choice. I don't think the substitutions were the right choice. I don't think we deserve to win the game. And then we actually look like Liverpool for one sequence. And the fucking 17-year-old comes off the bench and scores a banger off this ridiculous dummy from Szoboszlai after he played right back for 70 minutes. We did not deserve to win that game for a number of different reasons. But Mikey said in the group chat, it's another learning moment for Arne Slot and for this group, but you also get to take 3 points while experiencing the learning moment. So what are you really supposed to be upset about? But it was not. Fuck, man, Newcastle was on fire that whole time.
What specifically in the starting 11? What did you disagree with?
I disagreed with Szoboszlai at right back. I think that Connor Bradley should have started this game. I think that you needed somebody physical and who's going to set the tone. I mean, if Connor Bradley's willing to go, crunch the shit out of Kylian Mbappe on the Champions League night, surely he can deal with a little bit of, physicality coming from Anthony Gordon. I think that Szoboszlai was a soft choice at right back. And then the substitutions. I don't think that bringing off Wirtz, I'm fine with. I don't think he really ever found a rhythm in the game. But bringing off Ekitike, why would you do that? Because in case an opportunity pops up, and for Chiesa to slide into the number 9, I'm not a huge fan of that. I like the Elliott and Gamoa switches, but unfortunately those didn't come until it was almost too late because of how the game was going. But I felt helpless watching that game because despite the fact that, we were up a man and we were clearly the better team, I mean, Jesus, they were ruthless. That was not you say it was a really good regular season game, and I'm with you. That was not a fucking soccer game. They clearly had one intention for the 90 minutes, and that was to rattle us, to get in our heads, to be as physical as fucking possible. I am blown away by Bruno Guimaraes every single time I watch him. I'm reminded every time, as if I forget, how much of a fucking lunatic he is.
I couldn't believe he didn't get sent off.
He's insane. He's fucking insane. And any Newcastle fan who doesn't think that that's a red card on Anthony Gordon, get your eyes checked, get your ears checked, and just go watch some other sport, because it was so reckless and so beyond. It's not even close. And to think that Gravenberch's was a red card earlier than that, don't fucking talk to me. Don't talk to me.
It was a one replay red card where it was immediately. Yeah, it's I had a lot of jealousy from the first 40 minutes from the Joe Linton, Tonali and Guimaraes combo. They're everywhere. Joe Linton and Bruno are everywhere. It's and obviously United plays with only 2 in there, but it looks like there's more than just one extra guy.
Yeah.
And they really do boss the game. Eddie Howe is the energy that was in that stadium, the defiance that they have with the whole Isak situation. You can't fake that.
No. And I think that to your point, it's not just what's the kid's name? Will Osalua, the one who scored the equalizing goal. It's not just him and the front line that's getting bashed because of this Isak thing, but it's basically Newcastle suck without Isak. That's sort of the narrative that's been pushed, whether it's being said in those words or not. And 100%. You cannot fake whatever was in St. James's Park tonight because it was relentless.
Do you think Isak was rooting for Liverpool in the game?
To a certain extent,
yeah, because he's definitely got good relationships with most of his teammates. Now, with the ownership and with fans and everything, that probably has gotten a little.
But you think he's in full fuck Newcastle mode? It's like personal at this point.
It feels like it. I mean, that message from him on Instagram and the broken trust and relationships cannot continue. Yeah. Sounding like me breaking up with my college ex. Like it's the same sort of sentiment. But with that in mind, it's just like, like the relationship with the teammates, and then also like the worse Newcastle look and the more points that they drop, the more desperate that they're going to be to hang on to him. So I feel like it's kind of a catch-22.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
I thought you were going to say the more desperate they're going to be to get rid of him and get this.
But if you're going to get rid of him, you have to sign somebody else, and they still haven't done it. So like, that was originally where my first thought went while I'm watching it, and I'm like, who is he rooting for? Like, if Liverpool thrash them 3-0 and they don't score, then that just solidifies the fact that they can't let him go unless they bring somebody else in.
In what circumstances do you think he watched the game? Do you like?
Oh, at home and
at home, with no one. Like,
yeah.
You don't think he has like
lights
a couple
off
boys over for like moral support? You know,
his agent. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I had something written about the Newcastle Liverpool game, like an hour ago. It's just like, did we learn anything from this? This is sort of like before the red card, before the second half. I guess the same question though. Did we learn anything?
Yeah, I think you learned more about Newcastle in this game than Liverpool. I think what we just talked about, that spirit is there. Like that. You will see if it, and obviously they were going to come out flying for today. Like it is one of those circle on the calendar immediately when the schedule came out Monday night. But again, I don't think that you can fake that sort of. They just play with a lot of passion. They put their bodies on the line. They were dropping like flies today.
But if I can really be pessimistic about this for the Magpies, you gave Liverpool quite literally your best shot, even down a man, and you still came out empty-handed. You came away with a couple of injuries, and you scored off of a wild set piece and a route one ball over the top that bounced perfectly and was another mistake from the Liverpool backline. Now, I'm not saying that you can't find goals in that fashion throughout the course of the season, but the fact of the matter is you still are really struggling to find like goals from the run of play, which is obviously the biggest criticism of this team right now. And then if you're Liverpool, you shitted in your own fart for most of that second half, and you still got away with 3 points. Like, I agree. I think we learned a lot about Newcastle, but to say we didn't learn, to say that, like, and I know you didn't say this, Dan, but for people who are out there going to be like, wow, Liverpool really got away with them. It's a learning moment. I agree. But like, the mentality monster thing is still there, even if you're going to rotate, even if you're going, and you can roll your eyes all you fucking want.
They won the game. They won the game.
Won the game with a 17-year-old coming off the bench and scoring the game
16.
winner.
He's 16 years old, by the way.
Just turned 17 on Friday.
Oh, did he? Google says he's.
You weren't listening to the commentator, which is nothing new. So, yeah.
That's very true. That's very true. Actually, no, it's on Google. It's August 29th is what.
Oh, so maybe they're saying he's turning 17 on Friday.
He's 16. That means he's 16.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's terrible. That's awful on that part. Yeah.
A lot of shitting in their own farts over there in Liverpool land. Okay, but here's a question for you, for real. Are you, Liverpool's defense? You gave up 2 goals to 10 men Newcastle. Yes, they were playing possessed. Yes, they had, however many thousands of fans behind him. But like, you got to still be a little
concerned. I'm concerned about Kirkes. He did not look clean on the ball. He looked unsure defensively. He had no idea where Guimaraes was on the goal.
For Rasmus Cardi B, give him back that ass up.
But he felt like he caught an elbow to the back of the head, which sure he did, but it's normal contact on a set piece and a ball being lofted in like that. And then he just sort of like grabs the back of his head as if he's definitely going to get the call. And it's like, come on, man, like you can't fucking do that. And I thought Ibu Konate was horrendous on the ball, horrendous. But like, again, I think fair credit to Newcastle because they set the tone for the entire night. I just don't think Liverpool were up for it. And the other thing too is that like second game slump, right? Like, because week one, you've got plenty of adrenaline to sort of get you over the hump. These guys still aren't plenty match fit. And especially for Liverpool, rotating 4 or 5, 6 starters from last year, you still are sort of, getting your sea legs underneath you in terms of what this is supposed to look like. And especially for Florian Wirtz. And even when he did have more time and space when they went a man down, like, he's still figuring out exactly how much time he has on the ball and exactly where he's supposed to, turn the afterburners on. Like, it'll be an adjustment period for him, clearly.
Would you say he's a little bit of a wild card, Tyler?
You know what? Suck my wild card, because you said that, and yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you can't tell me that he's not going to come good eventually. Like, he's too good of a footballer for that. He's not a wild card.
I agree, but the reason I said is because I said there's going to be a transition period.
He played like dog shit and we still won, so no, he's not a wild card. Kirkez is a wild card. Kirkez might be the difference between 3 points and not.
Okay, well, takeaways. I mean, if you're a Newcastle fan, you got to feel just a little bit better about your team and your season. I know you
have a 1 point from 2 games. I don't really know how great you're feeling.
Well, I was just gonna say, yes, you're on 15th place at the moment on goal differential. By the way, the 15th through 20th right now: Newcastle, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Brighton, Wolves, West Ham. Interesting little bottom quarter of the table there. But you got to feel better about the way this team just played right there on 10 men, which I think is not maybe getting enough shine at this. 10 men. You had 10 men. So I'm going to give Newcastle a shout. Yeah, Dan?
No, I completely agree. The kid. What's the story? I don't know the story on the kid who came on, who scored. What's his deal? Is he new?
He is new.
I mean, they look like a team that with someone who can, like, with a potent. I don't know if he's going to be that guy. I'd be interested to see who gets to start if they start him in the next. Is he out 3 games, Gordon, for that?
He should be. That was reckless.
Straight red.
Yeah. So he gets a good a sort of forced audition.
Yeah. He's 22. He's originally born in Denmark. Came up through FC Copenhagen before he moved to Sheffield United. He's got 3 goals in 45, 50 senior appearances.
He's a blade. He's Sheffield United. He's
Sheffield United.
Northern top.
Yeah. Denmark youth product.
Matt Fitzpatrick's own. I always tell Matt Fitzpatrick that if he ever wins the FedEx Cup, he has to put together a bid to buy Sheffield United. Like, that is that's me. You know what I mean?
Are they worth 10 million? Is that what they're going for now?
Teams are pretty. All the Americans are buying them up. They're pretty expensive these days.
Yeah, they are.
Is Sheffield United only worth 10 million? Is that
I said a group.
Got it.
Yeah.
The entire group, the past 5 FedEx Cup winners can all put in. So Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood, and I like it.
Yeah, I like. What if we did the North of England PGA Tour pros by Sheffield United? I think that's Danny Willett can contribute. He's a Sheffield lad.
Or buy some dog shit non-conference team like Scunthorpe or some shit like that. Basically do a Wrexham but golf version.
Yeah,
I think it's a box office idea. Why would they not do it? It's actually a good idea. They're so rich. They all love it. They talk about it so much.
There we go. All right. It's on the table. All right, we're done now with the game of the season. Hell of a game, but we got to move on. There's other games that happened here over the course of the weekend. You had City, Spurs, bright and early on Saturday. Spurs, we got taken. They handed it to us for the first 15, 20 minutes, but after that, we just, it's not like I don't even know what to say about that game. It's just sort of almost so expected that we beat City at this point that I'm just sort of immune to it at this point. But no, and Thomas Frank, I thought he had an incredible game plan. Paulinho, I'm ready to make him a statue right outside the stadium.
I wanted him.
I wanted him.
Yeah, I think he could be could have been a super important player for this United team.
We'll get to that. We'll get to what you guys need. But yes, I agree. He could be a great signing for you as well, or would have been. Our team setup was great. What do you think, Tyler, about City? What does this say about them?
Well, obviously the playing out of the back and the James Trafford shit is concerning.
Yikes.
And who would have thought that coming out and just relentlessly pressing the shit out of Manchester City would be the right game plan? But no, I mean, you said it in terms of City's struggles with Spurs, particularly at home. Number one, number two, again, I think that, I mean, I'm guilty of it. Most of us on the pod were guilty of just simply plugging in City as a Champions League side, and they certainly have the talent and they have the capability of winning the Premier League. But the fact of the matter is like, I think we're operating under new information now at this point in time, and that what we saw last year is closer to probably the average performance of what the City team is capable of, and not what we've saw 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I just think that with a different cast of characters and asking guys to do a little bit more than they were previously asked to do, and Oscar Bob and
Rico Lewis,
fucking Rico Lewis, like I just think that like these are not like quote unquote Manchester City caliber players who are going to carry a team week in and week out. I think Tijani Reinders, Cherky, and those guys are great, but like this is a different cast. And I think that until proven otherwise, like we need to expect that this Manchester City side is capable of throwing points away at home, not necessarily doing the same Manchester City, give up 2 goals, score 3 in the second half type of comeback. And yeah, I mean, the James Trafford thing, like I kind of cost them the game a little bit.
Well, in comes Donnarumma, it sounds like. Amazing how quickly that happened.
Well, if Fabrizio Romano gives me another "here we go" and is wrong, I'm going to throw my fucking phone through the window.
What was the wrong "here we go"?
Victor Boniface.
Got it. So he broke his. Was that the only one he's ever gotten?
Oh
wrong?
No. It was a long.
There's been a lot of that lately.
Is Ornstein the new GOAT?
Yes.
Yeah, and potentially could have been the GOAT all along. Yeah.
You're saying Fabrizio's marketing is basically what you're saying.
Yes.
No, it's it's a new team. They're sort of core of yesteryears, just either not there or getting a little bit old. That's what I want to see from a United perspective. It seems you're talking about Thomas Frank. It seems like the biggest Thomas Frank fan in the world is Pep. Loves the guy.
Usually that means that he gets the best of him, and he sort of Pep.
Yeah, he likes to kind of tap him on the head.
Exactly. Give me a little tap. But yeah, Frank, I'm a huge fan. I know that like I feel like last season was. I didn't really want to talk shit about Ange the whole time because I was like, well, we're stuck with him, so we got to make the best of it. But seeing a manager who comes in and he tinkers and he changes things based on the opponent, it's a brand new world.
I'll tell you what, if this Spurs team can this small collection of like 13 or 14 players can stay fit for the entire season without any new signings, you guys can qualify for Champions League by finishing in the top 4. I truly believe that. That is not going to happen, but I do believe that 1 through 14 right now, you guys are legit.
No, and the one thing that scares me about that game, about going to City, beating them relatively handily, is Levy is now going to be like, oh, we're good. We don't need anybody. we don't need another player like Isaiah.
Yeah,
we're good. We're all good. No, we're not. We're not good. We need more players. But speaking of more players, we got to get to Manchester United. So this is the first sort of real United voice we've had on this season. You, as I just said, you got 1 point from 2 games last weekend. Quickly, you did lose, but I like the performance against Arsenal last week. Now this week, I would say it's a different situation. You did get a point from Fulham, but the performance, especially the game plan and the midfield, just I didn't quite get it. So where are you at right now on Amorim's United?
Well, you changed the question at the end there with Amorim. Where am I with Amorim's United? With Amorim, I'm captivated by him. I love him. I love him as a person, as a communicator. I'm committed to not continuing the cycle of firing managers after 2 years. I think we have to stick with him. It's a separate conversation from how I felt after the game, which was honestly kind of disgusted. It's hard to express how big that game felt for it being the second game of the year and for us being 15th and not really like challenging or having realistic goals of challenging for anything, really special this year, because you're right. The Arsenal performance was really encouraging and everyone felt, cautiously optimistic, but we have played good teams tough last year and then been horrendous against teams that aren't as good. We had a good result against Liverpool on the way. We beat City. We knocked Arsenal out of the cup. Like, playing decent against good teams wasn't the issue last year. It was performances that looked stunningly like the one against Fulham. it was a really good first 10 minutes. We're getting the ball into Cunha's feet. They're doing all this like interplay with Mount and Mbumo, and they look lively. And then it really seemed like they figured us out, like tactically. And for all of the money spent on the new signings, the spine of the team was the problem last year. Massive gaps in the middle. We're outnumbered every time we play a team in the middle of the park because we play with the two midfielders against three. If you're going to play with the two, they've got to cover ground, and they've got to be the type of like Joe Linton. You need mobile guys who are disciplined and aggressive, and we just don't have that. We don't have it. We have a 10 who is a mercurial 10 who is all over the place. And I love him, but he's all over the place. She's just, I think, clearly playing out of position. And then we've got Casemiro, who's trying very hard and fighting a losing battle against his own body. And so it's like we can continue to hype up the new signings and stuff, but if there are massive gaps like that in the midfield, we're going to really struggle. So I'm concerned. I'm very, very concerned.
I cannot believe that Casemiro, after everything that happened last year, is still starting for this football club. It is diabolical.
Still starting every game. They spent $50 million on Ugarte, and Kobe Mainoo starts, I think, the Euro final. Didn't he start for England at 18 years old? And he's just not getting a single minute. He's starting to show Amorim a little bit of
he was suspended for week 1, though, wasn't he? Kobe Mainoo?
No. Unused substitute.
Unused substitute.
Both first 2 weeks. He's showing a little bit of stubbornness, Amorim, now, I think. I'm interested to see if he gives Ugarte or Mainoo a start this week, because we got rid of Collier, who was, didn't but was a piece at least. He's gone. And he put Mason Mount, he dropped Mason Mount back into the midfield after Mason Mount had already played 55 minutes instead of bringing on Kobe in the second half. So there's a lot of concern in the fan base about Mainoo and about the future of Mainoo. And there's whispers around, would they sell? It's like the narrative around Mainoo has gotten really bad, really, really bad.
But him and Ahmad were like the only two positive parts about your club last year.
Yeah.
Riddle me that. I don't understand.
He didn't play much toward the end of the season. Amorim has made a bunch of comments about how he's not fast enough. He's not he doesn't play with enough punch. Like he wants him to be a little bit more quicker. Kobe has this sort of languid style, and I think you can't play Kobe next to Bruno. And so we have too many 10s. We have a 10 problem. We have Mason Mount. We have Bruno, we have Mbumo, we have Cunha, we have Xerxes, who hasn't gotten a single minute either, and we're going to get rid of Rashford. So he's the backup striker, but he's more of a 10. So we've got all these 10s, and we've got no one in the midfield who can. It's a bad situation.
The one position that you needed, honestly, if you didn't sign anybody and you brought in Paulinho, I think it would have been a good summer. Spending $240 million on Mbomo, Cunha, and Sheshko, and not addressing the middle of the field, bad summer.
I don't think that they thought they were going to get both Cunha and Mbumo. I think Cunha they did right away, and he's a baller. He looks great. I'm not apologizing for that.
What did they fucking put in 2 bids, only thinking that one of them was going to hit, and they busted their nut without?
Well, I think they got Cunha on the release clause quick, and then I think Mbumo really wanted to come to Man United, and so I think they were almost
poor guy. What's wrong with him? Honestly, anybody who really wants to come to United, who's a highly sought after transfer, I would be concerned if I was bringing them in. If I was Ruben Amorim, why the fuck would you want to come here?
It's aura, man. It's aura. It still exists. The pull still exists.
It's aura. It's also the salary.
Yeah.
They aren't on.
That's why Casemiro hasn't left.
That's why Casemiro hasn't left. But that you're right. I mean, they didn't pay crazy salaries. Our highest paid guys is De Ligt, I think, with one other of the new signings. Obviously, Casemiro's on 350, but none of them are making more than 190. So we're trying to make better decisions, but. Yeah, it's the midfield problem. Unless that's addressed, it's going to be a difficult season again, I fear.
Okay, well, first of all, 190 is no chump change.
Why can't you guys go out and get Adam Wharton?
because he's going to be crazy. I mean, they got rid of Eze. They sold Eze, and they're in Europe. They're going to charge us $100 million for him probably. And
fucking pay it. You guys need it. Pay it.
Yeah, we do need it. We do need it. But that's kind of how we got here in the first place, where these like
But PSR doesn't apply to you guys. You guys are sustainable enough from a global marketing brand aspect. For what reason? I still have no fucking clue outside of your accomplishments 2,700 years ago. Pay the money for a central midfielder. Otherwise, you're going to finish in 16th again.
Yeah, it's the devil's advocate would say that's how we got here in the first place, were these horrible deals. It's not a good position to be in, but I would not be surprised if something crazy happens.
Honestly, I'm also going to say this
happens in the next whatever it is 6 days.
I'm also going to say this, that you hit the nail on the head in terms of like this Ruben Amorim ball and the style, and like, being able to get up for the good teams, but not being able to play against the teams that are quote unquote below you in the table, of which there were only 4 last year. However, clearly this group, from like a physicality standpoint and their technical abilities, is only capable, and even with the new signings and even going back to last year, only capable of playing in games where you're able to counterattack. And I know that this whole Ruben Amorim ball has been about being able to balance and being able to compete against both sides of the table in terms of having the ball or playing against it. And you guys are just not a team who can break people down in low blocks. And therefore, like a guy like Kobe Mainoo in that type of game, for me, should be playing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when we're being offensive, he's one of our guys who can like actually break the lines and find a pass. But you're right, we really struggled to like hold a position high because our center, we don't win the ball back in the middle of the park. We just don't really. You know what I mean? We get out hustled and outworked and outnumbered. It feels like between minute 30 and minute 75, every game we just cede ground. There's this massive gap. The big positive is the center backs are playing pretty well. Lenny Yoro's a very good player.
Yeah, he did a great game.
Very, very good player.
If one of them gets hurt, you guys are fucked.
Yes. And Delict has been great as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see when Mazraoui comes back, how that works out. This Ahmad at right wing back he looks really uncomfortable. We have a lot of 10s. We have a lot of 10s.
In a world where 10s aren't even a thing anymore.
A Major League Soccer team would love it. The only league that's still using a 10 in the world right now.
It's like they're all in that position. We have 5, and then there's 2 spots, and we have glaring holes elsewhere. It's a really poorly constructed roster that you can tell there was a massive shift. You know what I'm saying? Because there's from the old guard and there's from the new.
It feels like multiple shifts. It's like zigs and then zags and then zigs again.
It's a bad situation.
All right, now I know you got to go. Listen, you're playing sick right now. Dan's playing hurt.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't need to talk about my health.
But I do want to ask you the question. So I had a few questions I wanted to ask you. We've touched on one, at least it was indirectly, what position or player do you need? It's clear you think you need somebody in the middle to just like a destroyer.
I mean, we also need a goalkeeper really bad, really bad. But I think the midfielder is more important.
Okay. Bindier or whatever. I've never seen a goalkeeper look so lost.
Dude, he's a 6'5" guy who on corners is functionally 4'4". Not even kidding. Watch him on the corners.
He goes low.
He steps out and then he kind of tries to back up and he just shrinks. It's insane to watch.
All right. Now, the question that we do want to hear from you, because we didn't really get a united opinion when we did the season preview. What is Manchester United's ceiling this season, and where do you actually see them finishing?
Ceiling would be like 5th, I think, if everything goes well. If Šeško starts banging them in, and we do have a lot of talent, we have a lot of firepower at the top. Like Cunha and Mbeumo were 2 of the best players in the Prem last year, and Šeško's he's maybe not the one that we wanted, but he's the one that we have, and there are plenty of reasons to be optimistic. Where do I think they'll finish? 9th. So
you got him top half though.
9, anywhere between 9th and 11th. I'll say 9th to be optimistic. I think it's the word that is needed is the word that doesn't exist in Manchester United's universe is patience. It's so broken. It's not going to be a quick fix, and it's hard in this day and age when there's reactions after every single game, but we have to try to maintain a 30,000-foot view of this. That's my mentality. We're in this for the long haul because all of these quick fixes haven't worked.
Yeah. Closing thought. United host Burnley this Saturday.
Yeah. I think we win 3-0. I think we win 3-0. I think we score. I think it's we're playing Burnley. Okay.
Yeah.
City. It's at home. I think Shesko gets the start. I think we bang in an early goal. I think it's a feel good victory. And then I think we have City and Chelsea right after that or something. So it's going to be very difficult after that. But I think we're going to win.
So you better get that win.
It's absolutely vital.
It is. All right, Dan Rapoport, if you guys don't follow him for his soccer stuff or golf stuff, go follow him on all his platforms right now. Hopefully you come back and share some of your United wisdom.
Yeah, we'll do this more this season. I'm around, especially between now and January 1 when the golf season starts back up.
Dude, loved your cameo and stick. I had no idea that you were doing that, so I'm watching it and I'm enthralled with it, and I'm waiting for a new episode. And then I was like, "Oh my god, it's Dan!"
Yeah,
it was awesome. It was
that was fun. Cool. I went to Vancouver to shoot that. I was like, "I'll do it. Like on my camera. I can just send you a video." Like, nah. Did this whole shindig where like blew me up there. I was like, "This feels gratuitous," but yeah, it was fun.
Awesome.
All right, later, guys.
Man. Cheers, man. All right, now. Quickly to put a bow on this past week, we had so we mentioned Burnley. We've given them nothing but shit all season. They're going to be historically bad and all this. Well, they just bounced back with a nice little win over Sunderland. And by the way, the other team that I personally have been shitting on left and right, Brentford, also nice little bounce back win. Any thoughts on either one of those?
My thoughts are, and it's unfortunate that Dan had to go, but my thoughts are that I think United is really going to struggle this weekend. Like really, really struggle. And if I may be so bold, I think we're in for a wild ride at the bottom of the table this year. Because if you look at how bad the likes of Wolves and West Ham are, and potentially United. And then if you look at Burnley, Leeds, and Sunderland through the first 3 games, it's kind of hit or miss. And if they're trading results with teams that are historically like solidified Premier League sides, and if they're able to pick up scraps here and there, they're going to end up with more points than we're used to seeing for relegation fodder teams. And I think that we're going to kind of be in like a 5 or 6 team scrap that like will involve West Ham and Wolves and very well can involve Manchester United. Now, I think they'll be on the north end of that battle and they'll probably be safe, by week, I don't know, let's call it 34, 35. But I'm telling you, from what I'm seeing so far, I think that these relegated sides are going to be some of the better ones that we've seen in recent memory.
Okay. Along those lines, we have an interesting one this week with Sunderland hosting Brentford, which we might learn a fair bit there. Well, okay, quickly, last question I had from this past week. You just mentioned the bottom of the table. We got West Ham, 0 points, -7 goal differential. Wolves, 0 points, -5 goal differential. Then you have the likes of Brighton, Villa, Manchester United, Newcastle, all on 1 point. Now, I think Newcastle is not really even in that sort of class of team.
Not even close.
Who of those others, United, Aston Villa, Brighton? Because I think Wolves,
Brighton,
correct me if you disagree.
Brighton are in trouble.
Okay, so of those teams, so I think we both think Wolves and West Ham are in trouble.
Yes.
Period. But of the teams that we weren't really expecting to be in this position already, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Brighton, all on 1 point. Brighton is the team that you would say should be hitting the panic button hardest.
Yeah. Right now, if we're going to make super really early knee-jerk reactions, then yes. I think Villa will be fine. I think Villa.
Okay. I saw a lot of people questioning Unai Emery, his sort of game plans and everything. That's what happens when you're on 1 point. Although they did, the first game was, who'd they play? Didn't they play Newcastle? And it was on, they had a red card. So there's some asterisks there. Okay. Weekend preview. Before we get to actually, let's do FPL quickly. Give us shout outs to a couple people. No shout outs to me since I'm in last place in the Sam's Army Council of Elders League. I had a terrible week, 35 points, so I'm down in last. The Ghost of Darwin, Tyler Terrans, bouncing back from let's just call it what it was, a really bad season last year. By the way, we need that TikTok dance. Give us the TikTok.
I know.
Give us that dance.
I know.
Give us the dance. You're in first, though, in the Council of Elders. Mitch is the bottom is now the top in the Council of Elders table. Mitch, who was second to last, is in second. Then Tommy, Mikey, and me in last. Unfortunately, the podcast league, Rad City, Chris Gerard is in first. Bowen Family FC, Robbie Bowen is in second. Brown Coffee FC, Akshay Agarwal is in third. Frankenspurs, Cooper Leon or Lion is in fourth, actually tied with Njai Another Day, Kenny Merritt. And quick shout out to our Discord sickos. If you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord by getting on the Patreon. But our top three in the Discord sicko league is Easy Breezy. Andrew Brzezinski is in first. Kudos, he thinks he is. Carter Brock is in second. And Morning Timber, Anang Parak.
So how many points do they have? Because I joined the sicko league like today by accident. I like forgot to do it. So how many points is the top three on right now?
They are on 122 for Easy Breezy.
Yeah.
118 for Kudos, he thinks he is, and 117 for Morning Timber. So did you not get full points for the first week?
No, I get them. It's
okay.
Still my points but I have 116. So I'm right
there. Oh,
there.
you're right there. Yeah. Okay. So you're right there. Actually, you haven't even been added to the list yet. Okay. So long story short, I got to pick things up, or I'm going to be in last place. Now, next week, the big game. Liverpool hosting Arsenal on Sunday. You know, this is the matchup of the two teams I think everybody, a lot of people anyway, thought were 1-2 for the season. We don't have any Tweedles here. We no Tweedle thoughts on this. So it's just a one-man show in terms of the unbiased only thoughts. What are your thoughts on this game? In the week 3 at Anfield, what are you thinking here? And, by the way, to also set the stage, I think Arsenal just lost Odegaard for a little while. Saka is definitely out. So, like, they're not in a great spot. But, what are your thoughts?
Complicated, because I think that coming out of week 2, Arsenal will definitely be feeling themselves from like a flow, and
they just kicked the shit out of Leeds, by the way.
Kicked the shit out of them and looked really good doing it. With that in mind, the injuries that you mentioned about surely are a gut punch to go into week 3 this early in the season and to be missing not only the quality but the personalities of Saka and Odegaard on the training pitch heading into the biggest game of the year, and a game that could, when you look back on it, could potentially be a title decider, is going to matter. I obviously like Liverpool to a certain extent just because they're home, and I do think that the Anfield supporters will take a look at what they saw at St. James's and sort of say, that's what we do. Like, that's our MO, being the 12th man and just simply willing teams to 3 points or to incredible European nights or whatever it is. I think that the midfield is going to be a grind. I think that Arne Slot is going to have to take a long, hard look in the mirror and reevaluate who should be starting at right back, because obviously it's not Frimpong, and I don't think he's going to roll with Szoboszlai again. And I think he needs to get a hold of like how to really tap into this team for the course of 90 minutes, like against a really good side. Now, it's early doors, and as much as these new pieces for Liverpool are settling in, I think Arne Slot is also settling in terms of how to coach these guys. Like, I think that that's a very real thing, that even though Arne Slot's coming off of a championship-winning season, he still is learning Florian Wirtz, he's learning Milos Kerkez, and learning how to, is this somebody who I got to beat over the head, or is it somebody I need to put my arm around? Like, all these things take time and take sort of like, trial and error and repetitions to figure out. So I like Liverpool. I'm nervous about the game, to say the least. I'm going to be in the great state of New Jersey, back home, watching it. Where, I'm not exactly sure yet, but I am very much looking forward to this one. And week 3, and you've got this game at Anfield. Like, And you know what the disappointing is we're going to take whatever momentum we have coming out of that game for either Arsenal or Liverpool, or maybe it's a draw, and then we go immediately into an international break, and that's just absolute bullshit.
Very true. I like Arsenal's chances in this game. I know that missing Saka and Odegaard is a blow, but yeah, they've brought in.
Is Eze going to play?
I assume so. I think he was ready to play this first week, so I do think that he'll be ready. Whether he actually start, I don't know about that, but I think that they have depth to cover for Odegaard and Saka now. I think Gyökeres scoring 2 goals is great for them. It's just being off the zero. That's got to be a nice feeling. Their defense, this is going to be a really interesting matchup between a team in Liverpool who I'm assuming is going to be able to score on anybody. Probably.
We've given up 4 goals in 2 games.
But can get scored on by anybody as well, including the Community Shield with Palace. But Arsenal, Arsenal haven't gotten scored on yet. Their defense is very good. So if anybody has the weapons defensively to actually try and deal with Liverpool, I do think it's this Arsenal team. So I'm very interested in see how this game goes. Now, if you guys start scoring, I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with you. But I'm very interested to see if they can keep it like a 1-1 game or something like that.
It's possible, and I think that there's a world in which they just really frustrate Liverpool, and Mikel Arteta is not known for exactly sitting in, particularly when he goes to Anfield. However, he's been caught in situations with teams in the past where he gets caught in that red blur, and there's just jerseys running around and they can't catch him. So I think that if you're Liverpool defensively, you're not going to sort it out overnight, but we gave 2 goals to a 10-man Newcastle today with no Alexander Isak. It's problematic.
Exactly. It's a question mark. It's a bit of a question mark.
It's more than a question mark.
Other games from the week and coming up, Aston Villa, who, as we said, they're on 1 point right now. They're at home against Crystal Palace on Sunday. Brighton, also in the same situation. They're at home against Man City. Wolves at home against Everton. We talked about United and Burnley. Leeds United is hosting Newcastle. Forest hosting West Ham. Tottenham hosting Bournemouth. Chelsea hosting Fulham. London Derby. Any of those sound intriguing for any reason?
I think that the Villa Palace game is going to be really interesting. I think Palace are desperate for 3 points at this point in time. The same goes for Villa, obviously. So I think that those 2 teams are going to sort of go for it, particularly with Villa being at home in front of the whole 10. Other than that, would be really, really important for the Toffees to carry over the momentum from the stadium opener and the win and try to parlay that into 3 points at Wolves, which I certainly think that they're capable of, given the fact that Wolves are absolute dog what.
And Grealish, by the way, I was so happy. Number one, I just really thought that the move for Grealish to Everton, I just liked it. It just seems like it just made sense. It seems like a perfect team from him. And so him to come out and get 2 assists in that, sort of home opener, that was awesome. That was a cool thing. Sorry to cut you off.
No. I really didn't have much more than that.
Okay, good. We will head to halftime where we just got to do a quick little shout out to our good friends over at Kick It, the one-stop shop for all your soccer tennis needs. Tyler, you've hit us with it before, but give us one more reminder why everybody needs to check out Kick It.
Got to check out Kick It. It is going to be the game that you wish that you had the entire summer, and you're going to be like, why didn't I listen to Tyler earlier? Head over to kickit.net, use the code SAM25, you get 10% off of the basic soccer tennis set, and you can play with Sam, you can play with Mikey, you can play with Mitch, you can even play with people who don't know how to play, like Tommy. See, I changed it up there. You probably weren't.
I didn't see that coming. I'm
going to call out the professional central midfielder whose touch is cleaner than my with a special weekend away with the lady. But anyway, so with that in mind, kickit.net, code SAM25.
Well, now we're on to Around the World. We're speaking of special weekends away with the lady. It is time to get into the MLS Hit It and Quit It minute with the Minuteman himself, Tyler Terrence. So Big man, why don't you hit us with what we need to know about the MLS results that were?
All right, match day 30, if you can believe it or not, we're already here. Only about 6 or 7 games remaining for the majority of teams in Major League Soccer, a little bit more for the likes of the clubs that were participating in Club World Cup. With that in mind, let's start in our nation's capital. DC United won, Inter Miami won. And, obviously no Lionel Messi in this game, and DC were able to pull it out. And this is a good result at home. It doesn't really matter as far as DC is concerned for Inter Miami and their hunts of potentially winning the Supporter Shield. It means a lot. Speaking of Supporter Shield, Philadelphia Union take a controlling command of Supporter Shield standings 4-0 over the Chicago Fire. Philly just seemed to be a bogey team for Chicago. Over the years, they've never played well against them, particularly at Subaru Park. And Greg Berhalter and company get absolutely waxed by Bradley Carnell's Union. Let's head north of the border to Montreal, where in Quebec, Austin fall to CF Montreal by a score of 3-2. But who really cares as far as Montreal is concerned? Meanwhile, in Columbus, just north of Cincinnati, north of your boy here in Loveland, the Columbus Crew at home against the New England Revolution at Lower.com Field, the debut of Wessam Abu Ali. You think that what on earth could go wrong against a New England team that has 2 wins in their last 15, and both of those wins coming against the likes of Montreal and DC United, the 2 worst teams in the Eastern Conference. And somehow, some way, the Revolution pull out a smash and grab 3 points. They really only created 3 or 4 chances over the course of the game. 2 of them find the back of the net, both in the first half. They win it by a score of 2-1, and New England keep their playoff hopes alive on life support. Meanwhile, down in Cincinnati at TQL Stadium, FCC obviously made a boatload of moves, making Tom Bogert work for that money and then some. And NYCFC, just as they did in the playoffs a year ago, stunned TQL Stadium. 1-0 is the final score. Alonso Martinez with the lone goal. Meanwhile, Music City, Orlando City, heavily rotated side with Leagues Cup semifinals coming up in the middle of this week. It is going to be on August 27th on Wednesday night as we're recording this on a Monday. Nashville 5, Orlando City 1. Not really too surprising in terms of Nashville winning the game, but just the manner in which they did it. North Texas, FC Dallas 1, LAFC 1, and Heung-min Son with an absolute screamer for his first goal in Major League Soccer. However, Dallas pulled out a 1-1 draw. We'll stay in Texas, this time in H-Town, and San Jose Earthquakes and Bruce Arena and company come away with a 2-1 win at Shell Energy Stadium. Let's head to the Rockies, where Real Salt Lake fall to Minnesota United by a score of 3-1. Plenty of transfers coming in from Minnesota. Possibility of Tani Oluwaseyi leaving, and the Loons get it done in big fashion. All right, a little bit of controversy also north of the border. In British Columbia, is Vancouver Whitecaps 3, St. Louis City 2. Phantom penalty call, basically in like the 13th minute of stoppage time, and Thomas Mueller scores his first goal in Major League Soccer, and what a celebration. The patented Thomas Mueller, I don't run on celebrations. You come celebrate with me. I'm not expending energy. And I thought to myself, this guy's been doing this for years. This is probably why he's been able to play for so long at such a high level. He has saved years off of his life, basically, by not sprinting to go celebrate after he scores goals. That's just what he does. And Vancouver come away with 3 points, and they're challenging for Supporter Shield. Speaking of, San Diego at home against Portland, supposedly supposed to be the game of the weekend. And if you love the over, you probably would have put the mortgage on it, and you would have lost your mortgage, and then some of you would have been out on the streets. And San Diego and Portland played to a 0-0 draw. Meanwhile, in Carson, California, LA Galaxy 3, Colorado Rapids 0. We had 3 games on Sunday. Atlanta United and Toronto played to an absolute snooze fest that nobody cares about. Why am I still talking? 0-0 is the final score. Charlotte FC and Red Bulls on Sunday Night Soccer. Wilfred Zaha and company get it done yet again. They are on a serious winning streak. They continue to win despite the fact that they lose Patrick Ajiman. They have players coming in, coming out, and Red Bulls just struggling at the moment. They're probably going to miss out on the playoffs and end their 15-year run of making the postseason. And the Seattle Sounders, Danny Musovski, after getting that red card in Leagues Cup quarterfinals, picks up a hat trick. Danny Musovski having the year of his life, okay? 5-2 for the Sounders, for Brian Schmetzer over Sporting Kansas City, and that would do it for match day 30.
Well done. I was going to say something about Musovski, but I'm actually going to hold that for now, get into it in just a little bit. Quickly, on Leagues Cup. So I guess I don't even know what to say about it. So the quarterfinals were played last week, and these are all MLS versus Liga MX matchups. MLS won all 4 of them. This has got to be like a nightmare, right? For at least for not just Liga MX, but is it good for MLS?
I don't know. I'll have to answer that question after I see what the stadiums look like on Wednesday. I mean, this is the way that the tournament was set up. You ensured that it was going to be MLS against Liga MX for the entirety of the league phase, which you did. You basically pinned them against each other as far as the table was concerned. You couldn't have asked for much more in terms of like what that did for MLS against Liga MX. And then you said to yourself, all right, we're gonna do it even more in the quarterfinals. All 4 games are going to be MLS against Liga MX, and then whatever happens after that happens after that. listen, you're not going to convince me that Liga MX teams don't care about this tournament. It's the easiest way to get into CONCACAF Champions Cup. You basically have to win 4 games, and then you get 2 cracks at getting into CONCACAF Champions Cup. That's essentially what it is. So now for the MLS teams, now even though you're playing MLS versus MLS in the semifinals, the stakes could not be higher in terms of like the LA Galaxy salvaging their season. I liken that to Spurs, right? Spurs have a diabolical season. They finished in 17th place in the Premier League, but they accomplished one of their biggest goals in qualifying for Champions League by winning Europa League. Same goes for LA Galaxy. Absolute dog poo this year, and with a chance with either a win on Wednesday night or a win in the 3rd place game to get into CONCACAF Champions Cup, which if you're looking at it, that is one of your biggest goals for any MLS team is to qualify. So as much as it's not like the sexy marketing of like, we could have gotten a Tigres and Seattle game or whatever it might be, or an Orlando City Tigres or a Toluca and Inter Miami, it just is what it is. And you set it up, you let the chips fall where they may. And unfortunately they fell strictly in Major League Soccer. So you got to deal with it.
Is there any world where this could perhaps push the leagues to host some games in Mexico?
Liga MX was one of the biggest advocates for having these games in America and for having these games in MLS markets, because they know that there's a real appetite for Liga MX soccer in this country for obvious reasons. The Latino population that exists here, and specifically the Mexican American population that exists here, and honestly, like. And especially with the way that it's set up now with the top Liga MX teams being able to choose where they play and sort of ensuring that they're going to be in front of their home fans. Like I don't chalk this up to like this just simply being about the fact that Mexican teams are on the road. I think that if this tournament was played a month and a half later and Mexican teams had their feet underneath them in terms of this season and the players that they have at their disposal, I think this would look a lot different. But think about the way the CONCACAF Champions Cup operates. MLS teams usually get a draw or potentially get a win at home, and then they get their doors blown off down in Mexico. Like, that's just usually how it goes. And we don't play 2 legs in this competition. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. The semifinals we played on Wednesday, Inter Miami and Orlando City, Florida Derby, and LA Galaxy and Seattle Sounders. All right. We will move on quickly. Last thing around the world, we got to quickly touch on men's national team chatter. And really the biggest thing, Gio Reyna finally got his move. So the Parma deal did not come through. Gladbach did get him. The tweet that Dortmund sent out, I thought was a little notable anyway, that we're sending him to league rival Mönchengladbach. It felt like there was a little animosity there. What do you think about Reyna and the fit with Gladbach and really what this means for his World Cup chances?
I don't know anything about Borussia Mönchengladbach. I'm not going to pretend that I do. They're a mid-table.
His boy is there. So
his boy's there.
Joe Scally is there.
Talk to me when we're 3 or 4 months into the season and whether or not he's consistently playing. I've seen the show before where he's gone out on loan or he's been with his parent club, Borussia Dortmund, and everybody's expecting, whether it be a new coaching regime, a new stop, a new loan, that he's going to start to get playing time and this is going to be it. And he unfortunately has failed to impress the last 3 or 4 coaches that he's come across, whether it be for club or for country. And for me, Sam, at this point, like, show me the money. Show me that you can walk into a new situation, have a clean head on your shoulders, have a clean slate, and just simply go out and ball and do what you do, because there's no denying the talent and the skill that Gio Reyna possesses. It's all the other stuff that comes into being a professional that clearly is eluding him. So I don't think anything of it, because for me, this is another stop in what's been a long line of trying to figure out a situation for Gio Reyna that works. Hopefully this is one, but I got nothing. I don't really know anything about Mönchengladbach. I don't know their desperation for a dual 8 or a number 10, and we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's fair. My only thought is it's not Dortmund, so it has to be, at least the opportunity for it to be better is there, because Dortmund, it just wasn't working out. Okay, stoppage time. Ivan Toney's best bets were, unfortunately, we had a good run. Overtrain was cooking. We were cooking with gas for many weeks. We just hit a cow, or maybe a whole bunch of cows. We went 1-4 on the week. That was the worst performance I've had in quite some time. But It just means I'm extra motivated this week to get back on the pony and win my good friends some monies. So, overtrain, 5-a-side, 1 game a day, Wednesday through Sunday. These games are all going over. We're starting on Wednesday with Champions League qualifying Karabag hosting Ferencváros. Thursday, we're going to the Europa Conference League qualifying, where Ammonia Nicosia, Cyprus, I don't know if they're Giants or not, but they're a Cyprus club, hosting Austria's Wolfsberger. Friday, we are going to the Estonian First Division. FCI Levadia is hosting Trans, Trans. Very simple, very neat. Saturday, we are going to Iceland in the Second Division. Volsunger is hosting Grindavik. And finally, we're going to the Belgian League, where Ghent and Bruges, Club Bruges, play on Sunday. Let's go win some monies. It's been I can't actually remember the last time Overtrain went 2 weeks in a row with a losing record. So I feel good about this. I did the research. I feel I like where we're at. Tyler, what do you got for Ivan Toney's best bet?
I'm going to go with a Forest win at home against West Ham, a Spurs Bournemouth draw, although I think it's going to be a shootout. Pair it with a Chelsea win at home against Fulham. I don't know what that comes out to. I'll tell you in a moment, but that's what I'm rolling with.
That'll probably get you. The Bournemouth Tottenham draw will alone. That's gonna get you.
That's some juice.
Nice little payday. All right, you do the math on that. We will head to everybody's favorite segment, especially Mikey, even though he's not on here. GOAWs. You're doing the math, so you want me to go first?
Plus 954, but yeah, go first.
954, not even a comma.
Nope.
That's the first.
Yeah.
Now you want me to go first on GOAWs?
Let it rip.
All right. So honorable mention I'm giving to Mauro Icardi. Not for the usual Kardashian nonsense, but he was in the airport, and it was kind of a grainy video or weird angle, but it looks like he headbutted a Galatasaray fan who was crowding, he was at the airport with his kids and everything. So it doesn't have kind of that sex appeal. The je ne sais quoi is when Queen Wanda's involved, but that boy just cannot keep himself out of the headlines. But I'm actually going to give the GOA, and I mentioned this earlier, the Musovski has had a hell of a season, even though he got the red card the other day. So Danny Musovski and Tristan Blackman were on the podcast several years ago when they were at LAFC together. They have had some very different, but yet successful career arcs in the few years since then. So quick shout out to them. Why that's relevant? Well, Thomas Muller is my actual GOA, so he scored his goal, but he gets the GOA for going to the press conference immediately after the game and just completely out of the blue, unnecessarily letting the cat out of the bag that Tristan Blackman sounds like he's going to get the call up.
Love it.
To the U.S. men's national team from Pochettino next month for friendlies that we got against, I believe, South Korea and Japan on the 6th and 9th of September. So Thomas Muller gets the GOA for letting the cat out of the bag, but a quick and heartfelt shout out to Tristan Blackman and also Danny Musovski, who have been playing the best balls of their life lately. So go check out the interview we had with them years ago. Cool guys, and just really happy and excited for their success. All right, Tyler, who's your GOA?
My GOA is Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director who has been let go today by St. Louis City. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I've ever seen a level of competence that was displayed in terms of bringing in a head coach, bringing in a vision, building around that vision and around that philosophy and style of play, to quite literally making every wrong decision that leads to your own firing after providing like arguably the greatest season in expansion league history, coming away with the first ever expansion team inaugural season, regular season championship with St. Louis City in 2023, winning the Western Conference, to getting fired a year and a half later. Just incredible stuff. And honestly, long overdue. This guy made every single wrong decision, and thank goodness St. Louis City fans can rest at night now knowing that he is no longer in charge of their football club. Good riddance. And just from everything that we know, did not operate in good faith, did not operate with integrity, did not operate with any sort of ingenuity or really any sort of like clue as to what he was doing after he won that regular season championship in 2023. So cheers to St. Louis City fans.
Talk about, making a good first impression.
Yeah.
And then every impression after that, maybe not going so well. It is interesting after all.
And then Bradley Cornell tearing it up.
And everybody at the time was like, wait, really? This is the movie we're making? It was the most predictable mistake around. It's interesting, though, that, of all the sort of mistakes and Bradley Cornell and the personnel moves and everything where everybody's like, what the fuck? That really didn't turn out well. What actually got him fired, perhaps, was not 100% phantom, but a really, really soft penalty in that game against Vancouver. If you haven't seen the replay, it was like in the 10th minute of stoppage time.
I never do this because I don't like it when you do it, but honorable mention will go at MLS just as a whole in terms of Youngmin Son scoring a banger of a free kick and Thomas Mueller banging in a penalty and both of them scoring their first MLS goals. Like, pretty cool. Cool. MLS, the year of our Lord and Savior in 2025. Like, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good. It gets the headlines around the world, and we'll backfill with young talent from Argentina, to raise the level. It's a good little yin and yang coming together for MLS. A good shout there. All right, everybody. Tyler, thank you for Dan, by the way. Go check him out on all his golf platforms and channels. Mikey, Mitch, and Tommy will be back soon. Everybody in the Discord chat, love you. Extra long time. If you're not in the Discord chat, get in the Patreon, get in that. We'll be back bigger and better next week. See you guys then.